June 6th meeting of the Appointments Committee. We are participating via Zoom. And Cindy, could you do the roll call?
Councilors Schnapp,
Here.
Mendez,
Here.
Shaughnessy. I know she was there. Tracy,
You're muted.
Starr, and Atzelis.
Here, I'm
Sorry.
here. My computer was cycling and wouldn't let me come back to the screen.
Counselor Starr, are you on that phone call? Could the person who joined us via phone identify themselves?
Hi, it's Jennifer Hinckley.
Okay, thank you,
Hinckley.
Jennifer.
Sorry,
Okay, no
Thank you.
problem. Just wanted to see who might be joining us. All right. Before we start with our interviews this evening or this afternoon, is there anyone here with public comment?
No, Madam Chair, there is not.
Okay,
Councilor Clark has joined us, but she's here just listening and observing.
okay, great. All right, and we'll move right on to the interview process. First on our agenda is Mr. John Joe. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And you're here to request a position on the Council of Aging. You had been on but resigned for various reasons in February, but would like to rejoin as a regular member for the term that you were previously serving, which I believe ends in 6/2024. Is that correct?
Either that or a fresh appointment for 3 years, either one.
Cindy, is that possible at this point in time? Do we have any positions, regular member positions that are open?
There is one regular member that term expires in 2024.
Okay.
The other two that expire in 2023 are one is an alternate position and one is an associate position. So the regular member does expire in 2024.
Okay. So Mr. Jope, would you like to continue to be a regular member and just be up for reappointment next year if you want to continue?
I would choose that, thank you, yes.
Okay, great. All right, if you would like to just spend a few minutes and introduce yourself to us, we can ask a few questions, get you back on the committee.
Very good. I've been looking forward to meeting with you nice folks. My name is John Jope. I'm a Centerville resident. And I initially joined the Barnstable Council on Aging, I believe in 2015, and have been an active member right up through this past January, where I left for personal reasons. Now I'm ready to come back, particularly because I see so many of our experienced members leaving. We have some good new members. We've got a lot of talent there.
Mm.
However, they're left kind of asking what to do or what are we supposed to be doing. And I think it's particularly important for the council to get its feet on the ground running right now, because with the increasing senior population, by 2035, 35% of Barnstable's population will be over 65. That's a lot. And we are not really ready for that yet. We have to do some outreach, especially to younger elders. And by doing so, I think it's important to get the new board trained and running and in place with committees, et cetera, to actually start doing the work. And this is the reason I'm coming back, because I think with my experience and my background, I can offer a lot in that regard.
Great, thank you. And I'd like to my fellow councilors, Councilor Atzelis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Jope, thank you for being back here, and thank you so much for your service on the board and for wanting to come back. It's obvious since you've been on the committee and you're looking at your letter you sent us, you certainly have more than enough experience. I'm just curious, you did mention a great statistic about the growth in our senior population in the next number of years. are there one or two things? I'm sure there's more, but just for sake of brevity, are there one or two things that you see that we need to be preparing for, being proactive about, to get ready for that influx of the population?
I think what comes to mind first is we need to focus on outreach to let Barnstable residents know we're here. There are so many who still do not know that senior services exist, and they may be going without services they're entitled to. So outreach, informational outreach, and getting out there hands-on, I think would be my priority, particularly, as I said, for the new elders who are in their 50s, to get them ready to take part not only as clients of our services, but as volunteers as well.
Okay, thank you very much. That makes a lot of sense.
Great.
Thank you.
Councilor Mendez.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Jope, for coming back to us. I have more of a comment than a question, for the sake of expediency, first of all, and second of all, I think Mr. Jope brought up some great points as far as outreach goes, talking to different people. They said he's very amenable and he gets along with others well. And I think it's important for somebody experienced to have some mentorship over the newer members. So, obviously he's qualified, so I don't feel the need to ask any questions, but I just want to thank him again for reapplying.
Great.
It is my pleasure. Thank you.
And Councilor Shaughnessy.
Well, I was going to say something similar to Councilor Mendez. Obviously, I know John as the liaison to the Council on Aging, and most recently, John was actually serving as the chair. And I will say that, when John came on as chair, John really did a lot to put together some standing committees again, to try to have, different groups working on different things, something that hadn't existed in a while. Really good about getting the agenda out, and just really good about leading the agenda and leading the group. So I am thrilled to see John reapply to come back, because it was a big loss for the Council on Aging Board.
Thank you. Councilor
You've
Starr.
got my vote, John.
Councilor Starr has joined us
I'm here.
under a different alias.
Under an alias, yes. No, I agree with what's been said, and I think I'm glad he's back. And thank you for coming back. I appreciate it.
And I too echo, I'm glad that whatever reasons you had to step down have satisfactorily resolved, and that you can come back. Just so you know, we are, our process requires generally 2 reads of the town council, and we only have 1 meeting left in June. I'm not sure, we might make some adjustments so that we could do both reads in this month, so that we can get people seated by July. But if not, your recommendation might not be finalized until our July meeting. And I know that we'd like to get you back in as quickly as possible, especially since you're interested in leadership. I just wanted to let you know that possibility. So
I'll be signed in whenever the powers approve. Thank you.
okay, that's great. Do you have any additional questions of us?
Not at this time. Thank you for the
Okay.
opportunity to serve again, is my only comment.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in, and you're welcome to stay put or sign off. So thank you. All right, Cindy, I do not see Miss Burrow on the call. Would that be accurate?
That's correct. That's correct,
Okay.
Madam Chair. She emailed me this morning and she has a work commitment that she's unable to get out of. So she's going to reschedule to our next meeting, and she sends her apologies.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so that would bring us to Tony LaPola. Did I hopefully, or Paul? I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce your last name, but welcome. You're here for one of our vacancies in the Recreation Commission. And you had sent us both your resume, and very impressive. So I would ask you if you wanted to make a few comments to the the committee and before they begin their interviews?
Sure, love to. First, I want to thank you for the time
Mm-hmm.
today. I know you're all busy, and just a little bit about me. I won't go too far in back. My wife and I moved full time to our house here in Centerville 2 years ago. Prior to that, we're both educators. I spent 45 years in education as both a teacher and administrator, principal, and it's something that I always believed in giving back to the community I lived in. Something I preached to the school communities I worked in, and I also am a very big believer in recreation, and I will put / wellness. I don't really know what the committee entails and what it oversees, but I'm a very big believer in that, and in that it does make for a stronger community when wellness is a major part of it. But recreation fits right in that. I've been an athletic director. That was one thing I did. I spent 11 years in that. One of the hardest jobs I ever did because of the moving pieces in that job. But bringing dean and principal were probably my most satisfying parts of my professional life of working. I just finished trying to understand our community better at full time. I just finished my work with the Citizens Police Academy. I did that. Found out an awful lot about Barnstable Police and the respect I have for those gentlemen and women that work in that department. Great people, starting with Lieutenant Clark and the rest. So I'm trying to give back. Hope that some of what I have in my experience can help. I'm interested to know a little bit about the committee. I don't know if that's appropriate to know now or later. But I do appreciate the opportunity.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions from committee members? Councilor Mendez.
How you doing, Mr. LaPola? And thank you very much for applying.
My pleasure.
A quick question. You're obviously qualified and your heart is obviously in the right place. Myself into health and wellness. You tell me how you think wellness can help as far as the recreation goes for our youth. Well,
I think they go hand in hand, because I think for the youth of the community, opportunity, they need opportunities. They need to be they need to find places. I also a big believer in mentorship. The people that work in recreation and wellness are as important as the programs themselves. So finding the right people to be mentors to young people, to be with them is so essential. With whether it's teachers or coaches or recreational leaders, I think that's essential. So I think the mentorship goes hand in hand with that. We live in a world today that doesn't impress as much on young people the role of their physical nature of the importance in their life. You know, we are very much a technical society, and that's really important. And I'm a big believer in that, and where it advances our world. But I also think we need to have them understand that part of it. And the sooner you can do it, the better, elementary and all the way through. But offering those opportunities in as many places as possible, I think, is so important.
Follow up?
Sure.
Just kind of a comment. I think a lot of times, as far as recreation goes, wellness is the missing part of it. And, you know, we have obesity crisis in this country. You know, 2 out of 4 people will get Alzheimer's, 3 out of 4 of those people will be women. And it's important to have wellness instituted, because that's kind of a way we can kind of put a dent in the problems that we have. So I'm very impressed. Thank you so much for applying.
Councilor Etzlis. Oh, you're muted.
I thought I'd do that. So, Mr. Paul, thank you very much for being here, and your background's phenomenal. I guess you leaving California, you must miss the cold weather, so you came here and to enjoy our winter as well.
Well, I don't miss the smoke and the fires and the drought, and I can go into a lot of those other things. California is a wonderful place to live. I'm very happy to be back in New England. I was born and raised in Connecticut. Very happy to be back here on the East Coast.
Well, we're glad you're here. So I'll be brief. I served on the Recreation Commission before I became a town councilor. I didn't stay on as long as I would have liked, but I had to move on to being on the council here. But I am the liaison for the Recreation Commission for the council. It's a very good group, all with varying experiences and backgrounds. I think you'll fit in really well. I'm not do a long dissertation of what the Recreation Commission does, but if you haven't already, on the town website, under the Recreation Commission page, it does give a nice summary of what the commission does. But I'm going to assume I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Your opinion of the importance of having proper facilities well maintained in order to, give both our youth and our older population safe places where they can, stay active and get in shape and stay in shape.
Yes, I will say yes to that. I think I find the challenges mostly with facilities connected directly to budget. I think that, but keeping up, I think there are two parts to the facility world. One is maintaining the facilities that you already have, and then always continuing to look at what needs to be looked at for the future. But having facilities, and I have to say, I'm very impressed with what I see in the town of Barnstable as far as what the facilities have. Whoever came up with, and I just got into pickleball. Whoever came up with the pickleball courts at Marston Mills, I assume that's the auspices of the group, are phenomenal. But I do think of facilities. I think you always have to be thinking about facilities and what is needed now, but also is needed down the road.
Yeah, that group is the pickleball group's a very passionate group.
Oh yeah,
and they, it was through their input that started the whole momentum to get that facility done over there. And I don't believe it's going to end there. There are some other spots that I know we're looking at to add some additional places for people to play, because that's already getting filled up. So, and that was one of my last questions. If you've picked up pickleball yet. So
well, like yeah, I'm just trying, but there are a lot of good pickleball players out there, and I think that it is an interesting activity for someone that is looking for something new to do.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you, and that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir Shaughnessy.
Hello, Mr. LaPala.
Hi.
First of all, I want to say, I don't know what it is about educators, but we have quite a few retired educators serving on various committees in the town. And I have to say, you make great committee members. Now, I don't know if that's because you spend your education career having to interface with not only parents, but also their children, the administration, your fellow teachers, the school board. But for whatever reason, it seems to make educators really good committee members. When it comes to working with others and whatnot, they tend to do a very good job. One of the questions I had for you is, what do you think some of the things are that build a successful community?
I think that a successful community comes for people that believe in common ideas. There are certain things that are personal beliefs in mine, people that respect where they live. In a school community, one thing that I always looked for is that when people respected what they did and what they did in that community, reflects the minute you walked on that campus. Respecting each other, respecting what you believed in, and I think that's so essential. I also think that there has to be a sense that people listen to each other. You bring up committees. One thing in being in schools, committees are just a part of life. You sit on lots of them. I think we often like to speak and not listen. I think good active listening is another thing. So I think people that will listen to each other will compromise and understand that you can't get everything you want, but that things that are good for for the group was what we want to do. But I am just a believer in a place is, it's one of the reasons we came back here when we made the decision to where did we want to go when we retired, was that we just like the people and the way they believed in what they did here. And I have to say, one of the reasons I applied to this was going back to the work I did for those 10 weeks with the Citizens Police Academy. The dedication that those men and women had for that department said there's something really positive going on here, that I think that says something about the community, that they believed in what they were doing.
Thank you. I took Citizens Police Academy, and I have to tell you, I absolutely loved it.
Yep.
I did both that and the Citizens Leadership Academy, learning about the town, and it influenced greatly, my decision to run for office. One more thing, I loved in your comments that you mentioned mentorship, because I too think that's very important for our youth today. Kids don't necessarily get the support at home that they used to. So something I'm a huge proponent of is intergenerational activities. One reason for that is that I know that the sort of middle agers of today are far busier than ever. A lot of them are caring for grandchildren, they're caring for their elderly parents. And I feel like intergenerational activities sort of bring the youth together and the seniors together. My personal feeling is that there's a lot of mentorship in that, but I also feel that both generations can learn a lot from each other. So how do you feel about intergenerational activities?
I do think there's an awful lot to learn. I learned an awful lot from my family and intergenerational ideas. But I think we lose a lot if we don't gain that. First of all, they have people have more time, they can donate that. I think that younger leaders learn from people that have been around. I think that can help. I coached on teams that had people that were young coaches. Then we had people that were in their 60s that were working with the same group of kids, and they learned different things from different people. We have all to have different styles. So I'm a big believer in it. How you get the connections is sometimes a challenge, but I think it's really worthwhile.
Thank you.
Counselor Starr, do you have any?
And
comments or
just
questions?
more of a comment. I think we should sign him up immediately. And also, I wondered, Tony, if do you have a lifeguard certification? We could
No, you don't want me to be a lifeguard, please. My wife, on the other hand, is an avid aquatics person. Does so many aquatics programs up at the Y. She is. You speak about intergenerational. She is now one of my children lives in Michigan, and she has just got on a plane because they need help with the grandkids because they're finished. They're both educators. They need to finish up the year. I think we do what we have to do. But no, you don't want me anywhere near saving people's life in the water.
But thank you for applying. I appreciate it.
And if I wasn't on this screen, I would be at our pickleball courts. So, are there any other recreational pursuits that you have found in Barnstable that are top shelf? Or
well, I have to say, I spent some time in Michigan when I was an athletic director, and Michigan and hockey go hand in hand. Your recreational center, your ice center is top notch. I think that it is you have to give what people want. I think obviously hockey is something that people like here. I know it's in a very expensive facility to upkeep, but I do think that is exemplifies some of what you do as a town. I haven't gone further than that. I've been a little bit about whether Barnstable High School comes under your auspices or not. I've seen a little bit of their facilities, their programs. But I've been impressed with that. I think keeping them up is essential, and that is something that can slip away, and that gets into issues of liability and safety and all that. But I think that you have to keep that going. I think it's a sign of what's important in the town.
Right. Okay. Any other questions from my fellow counselors? All right, seeing none, I'll just give you a quick update on our process. As I was
Thank you.
speaking earlier, this is a committee of a town council. We make recommendations for the full council to consider. Our next meeting is on June 15th, and what we usually do is a first read. So we do that, and then it moves on to the second meeting in July. Sometimes we make exceptions and do it all in one evening, but generally our policy is to do it over 2 meetings. So if you want to just hold tight, you'll
sir.
know about our recommendation this week, but
Okay.
to make it official, it might take a little bit longer than that. So June.
Your process is what you need to do. So just keep me posted on where things go from here.
In the meantime, you're always welcome to sit on or join the committee that you're interested in, just to observe, the process. And I believe they're meeting on Monday, right?
They just met yesterday.
Oh, they just met yesterday. Okay.
They meet the
okay.
first month.
The first of every month.
Yeah, and right
First
now they're
Monday.
back in, I think, and they're also back in person too. But they do
Okay.
they record them, have them on. They are recorded as well. But also, I will offer, if you do have any questions, you're welcome to contact me as well, and I'll answer them as best I can. And if I can, I'll point you in the direction of the person who can.
I appreciate that. And I do appreciate the time, and respect the work that you do.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us today, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye, everyone.
This is just a little tangent. Counselor Atlas, did they make a recommendation for Sandy Neck Board at last night's meeting?
Unfortunately, I couldn't make that because I had a
Okay.
conflict. I couldn't be at that meeting.
All right.
So I haven't watched the, I haven't watched the tape yet.
Cindy, do you know if they made any recommendations?
I did not. I reached out to Renee King this morning, but I have
Okay.
not heard from her. Sometimes she does get back to me when she returns from work.
Okay. All right. Well, I didn't know if we wanted to take if we could take any action today, but I guess we won't. We don't.
Yeah,
have
let
any-
me reach out to her first thing tomorrow morning, and I will
Okay.
find out if they took that action.
Okay, that'd be great. All right, let's move on. Our next candidate is Jennifer Hinckley Needham, who is interested in a vacancy on the Human Services Committee. And Jennifer, are you still with us? You're on the phone?
Yes, she was.
I think she was a 774.
Yes, 83.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Jennifer, we can hear you.
Oh, good.
All
Hello.
right. Hi. So you're interested in a vacancy on our Human Services Committee, and we have some information from your application. But if you would like to spend just a minute or two giving us a little bit of information about yourself and why you're interested in being on this committee, that would be great.
Okay. My name's Jennifer Hinckley Needham. I've lived on the Cape my whole life. Right now, I work at Cape Cod Hospital and Falmouth Hospital as the Director of Respiratory Therapy, Pulmonary Function, and Pulmonary Rehab. I have 3 kids and married and 3 dogs, live in Centerville. And one of the major reasons, there's 3 reasons why I'm looking to be on this committee. When I work at Cape Cod Hospital, I'm in the ER, and I see, I've lived here my whole life, and it just seems that there's so many drugs, violence, homeless, mental health issues. In the ER, every day we have a holding spot for people, and it just worries me. My heart goes out to all these people, and I just hope, I want to do something good for that. When I'm at Cape Cod Hospital, when I'm leaving, if I work overnight and I leave in the morning, I can count all the homeless people on Main Street. I've counted up to 60 before. I'd like to help with services and like the last gentleman, I've read about, what this committee does. I haven't seen them in action, but I just don't like the way the Cape is going. I have 3 kids in school, and I've brought children into my home that I thought needed services that weren't available, my son called me one day from the football field and said, "Mom, this kid, he's from Jamaica and he is really big and he's going to be playing on the football team today, but he can't because he needs undershorts. Can you go get him some so he can play?" So I went to Butler's, got him some, dropped him off. He's like, he kissed my hand. He's like, "Thank you." Within 2 weeks, I realized that his mother had sent him from Jamaica all by himself here, and he was just living at various houses. His dad was on Nantucket, and I'm like, where are the services for these people? And I don't know. And then my son was killed by an alleged drunk driver last August, and I know that there is a lot of alcoholism on the Cape, and as I said, mental illness, homelessness. And I just want to see, I guess I'm starting small, like Mr. Diggs and Mr. Zarios. I'd like to eventually make a change, make something good happen from something bad that happened to me. I know there's a lot of alcoholism on the Cape. I'd like to make sure that there's services for people who have problems. That's all pretty much. I'd like to help people. I'd like to help children, the elderly, and hopefully being on this committee can start me down the road to make a difference.
Well, that's an impressive list. Thank you, Jennifer. Counselor Starr.
Thank you. Just more of a comment. I mean, I'm impressed with the her experience, her breadth of experience. She's got a sense of what needs to be done. We don't have a human services department, but we have this committee that needs knowledgeable people to make connections between the people providing services and pushing for more services. So thank you for applying. That's it. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Counselor Atlas.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
How are you? Don't call me
Good.
counselor.
How are you?
No, I just want to say, Jennifer, it's nice to see you. I had the pleasure of sitting next to you in one historic commission meeting. That was fun. But I do appreciate you coming back and wanting to be on the Human Services Committee. And just as a kind of something to reference point for my fellow committee members, watching your kids grow up on Elliott Road for much of their life, and seeing how you raise them, and you still being in the neighborhood. I know your heart's in this, and it's certainly easy for me to see, and you'd be a welcome addition. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Counselor Shaughnessy.
Absolutely. First of all, I want to say how sorry I am about Sam.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
I was 24 when my 48-year-old mom left her nursing shift at Maple Woods and didn't make it home thanks to a drunk driver. So, for our family, it's been 28 years, and unfortunately, we still grieve every day. Our lives were never the same. So my heart,
wow.
I remember when that happened last summer, and it was just brought it all back for me, and it was just awful.
It needs to stop. Families can't.
It does need to stop.
Needs to stop. And we're, hopefully I can help.
Yeah, I agree with you. Very impressed with your qualifications, and very impressed that you want to get involved in human services, because I think it's great to have someone on that committee who's having firsthand experiences, at least from the perspective of Cape Cod Healthcare, of what they're seeing every day. Because I think the truth is, our police and our emergency room are on the front lines of both of these issues. And we do need to do something. I mean, I know every community struggles with addiction and with a homeless population as a result of that, but I just feel like we've got to be able to do better. We've got to be able to provide. Go ahead.
ER is huge, and sometimes half the ER is just a holding pattern for people, with problems.
It's almost like a protective custody.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah,
Yeah, and I
I'm,
just wonder why there's no help, or, I mean, I'm sure there is, but it's not fast enough in my opinion, or, so yeah, sorry. keep
well,
interrupting.
it's definitely, I would say, not an area where federal, state, resources tend to pile up. I mean, it tends to be one of those areas that's sort of the tail end of most budgets, I guess, is one way to say it.
Right.
Which is unfortunate because, you
Yep.
just don't know who's out there. Those could be college educated people. We don't know the backstory. We don't know
Right.
how they got there. And I'll say as
Yeah,
a
they just need
24-year-old who just lost her mom, I could have very easily been there because it was, there was a long period of time where I just didn't care.
Yep.
And I just didn't see how life was going to move forward without her. So, and I'm sure you've been
Yep.
there.
Yep. I am. Yep.
My grandparents were
Totally.
never the same after they lost their child.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
just thank you so much for applying, and thank you for wanting to bring your empathy and your compassion and your knowledge to the committee.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm sorry for your loss as well.
Thank you.
Counselor Mendez?
Yeah, just really quick. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Hi.
Um,
Good. Thank you.
I think that it's very important for somebody on the front lines to serve on this committee. The police aren't built for mental health, and neither are the emergency rooms, to be quite honest with you. So we have to start to take a
Right.
more approach as a society for our mental health issues.
Yeah.
And for people with mental health issues. And that goes pit and parcel with drug and alcohol also. So
Right.
kudos to you, and thank you so much for applying. You're more than qualified. And like I said, I think you bring a unique perspective that is sorely missing. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jennifer, I think it's been all said. And again, you would be a great addition to the Human Service Committee. I think they're really kind of digging in and trying to determine, the ways that we in town can have some positive impact on
Help.
some of the challenges that we're all facing. So it'd be great to have your
That's
voice
great.
added to the conversation. So
Thank you. And I appreciate your time. Thank
No,
you.
you probably heard my little speech. In terms of our process, we'll be making recommendations. Cindy will be communicating those recommendations this week, but they'll go to the town council on the 15th of this month, and most likely followed up with a meeting in
Okay.
July. So again, we always invite folks to observe the committee that they're interested in. You're always welcome to do that if you want to kind of get a jump start on your service.
Okay.
All right.
I will. Thank you very
any
much.
Okay. Any questions of us?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining us this evening.
Okay. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Okay. All right. I see Ms. Parks has joined us. Thank you for coming tonight. We are now going to hear a few words from Ms. Frances Parks on the Historical Commission. She's up for consideration of reappointment as a regular member to a term expiring June 2026. Ms. Parks, would you like to address the committee on?
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
I'm an uncompensated volunteer on 3 Town of Barnstable committees: the Historic Commission, the Trust Fund Advisory Committee, and the Local Comprehensive Plan Committee. I will gladly say I've gotten off to a slow start as chair of the Historical Commission, but I feel that has been resolved. I will admit I get rattled when there is one committee member who constantly interrupts along with mumbling instructions to me under their breath. If I was in Councillor Atzler's position and a board member had come to me with concerns about a member of the commission, along with cherry-picked meetings to watch, I would have proceeded very differently. I would have asked the board member if they had spoken to me. That did not happen. My reaction would have been to contact the person accused of poorly conducting the meetings and give them an opportunity to explain their actions in private. If, as he said, residents have complained to him about the commission since I've been the chair, I have not I would have referred people to Elizabeth Jenkins. That is not happening. I do not see humiliating and denigrating a person publicly as a way to treat anyone, especially by an elected official. I would very much like to stay on the commission, but I do not think that I can trust that Councillor Atlas will not repeat his objections at a town council meeting. His disparaging remarks will be on the town website for decades, if not longer, and they do not need to be repeated in a town council meeting. I am 100% confident in who the board member is who contacted Councillor Atlas. And for Councillor Atlas's information, this is the person who made the inaccurate comment about a member of the councillor's family. I am not the only one who recalls that comment. You can follow up with the Director of Planning. I regret there will not be someone on the commission representing Katuitt. Preserving the history of Barnstable is important. I am withdrawing my application for reappointment to the Historical Commission. Thank you.
Okay. Just let me confirm, you are withdrawing your application for reappointment?
Yes,
this
I
evening?
am.
Okay,
Thank you all very much.
all right. Thank you. Counselor Starr, or does anyone make a comment, or are you just waving?
I'm just waving.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for your service, Ms. Parks. I hope that your voice will be heard in the committees that you are staying on.
Thank you.
All righty. Counselor Shaughnessy, did you have a comment? I'm sorry.
I mean, Miss Parks has left, but I
Okay.
did want to let her know that I recall very well when the Asset Management Committee was meeting to discuss the ultimate, what was going to happen with the Katuitt Elementary School. And I remember that Mrs. Parks attended all of those meetings and made some very good comments to the committee about that school and about what the village of Katuitt needed. I'm glad to see that she's going to remain on our local comprehensive plan committee, because I do think the village of Katuitt does need a voice. And, you know, I feel badly for what has happened, and I hope she knows that we appreciate her service to the town.
All right. We have one other candidate that's listed. We did not ask him to return. Larry Hurwitz was interviewed at the end of April for a position on, or he had applied for several positions. At the time, we thought perhaps his experience was best connected to the Infrastructure and Energy Committee. He has since sort of looked more into the current activities of infrastructure and energy. And Cindy, I believe he submitted a request to be withdrawn from that committee and reconsidered for another committee, and Zoning Board of Appeals was one of those options that he listed. Is that
That is correct,
characterize
Madam.
what he said? Okay.
That is correct, Madam Chair.
All right. Yeah, if you'll remember, both he and his wife had just completed the Citizens Academy, and were enthusiastic to serve the town in some capacity. He had fairly extensive construction background. So he thought that, you know, there might be some connection with infrastructure and energy, but when he realized that it was more of a, currently the focus is on recycling and solid waste management, he felt that zoning might be a better place. And since there are some associate positions available, he thought that would be kind of a good step in, that he would not be a full member, but would be able to contribute his expertise, but also participate in the learning curve for the ZBA. So just wanted everyone to know that's why he's on our agenda tonight for consideration of one of the, we have 3 current vacancies on the ZBA, and all in associate positions. All right. So that is our slate of applicants for this evening. And so we can run through the rest of our business. We have resignations, one from the Disability Commission, Geraldine DiConstanzo, and from the Human Services Committee, Scott Fitzgerald. Do we need to take a motion to approve those resignations, or is that just okay, knowledge? Under D, we have several reappointments that had not occurred at our last meetings. I will request Counselor Starr, would you read or do you have this in front of you?
No, I don't have it in front of me.
Okay,
Thank you.
who has the list? Counselor Shaughnessy? Would you like to read that as a motion?
Absolutely. So I'd like to move to consider the move for the reappointments of the following to boards, committee, or commission. To Land Acquisition and Preservation, Alyssa Crowley is a regular member to a term expiring 6/30/2026. To Licensing Authority, Martin Hoxie as a regular member to a term expiring 6/30/2026. Shellfish Committee, Patricia Farina as a member holding a family permit to a term expiring 6/30/2026. To the Zoning Board of Appeals, Denise Thorne Johnson as an associate member to a term expiring 6/2026. And also Mark Hansen as a regular member to a term expiring 6/30/2026.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Cindy, can we do a roll call?
Certainly. Counselors, Mendez,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Atsalas,
Yes.
Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Schnapp.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Okay. Now we can move to the discussion recommendations for the appointments of the individuals that we interviewed this evening. Do I have any nominations or recommendations? Counselor Shaughnessy.
I'd like to move John Job as a regular member to the Council on Aging to a term expiring 6/2024.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none. Cindy, roll call vote, please.
Counselors, Starr,
Yes.
Mendez,
Yes.
Atsalas,
Yes.
Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Schnapp.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
All right. Do I have any further nominations? Counselor Atsalas.
I would like to nominate Tony LaPola to the Barnstable Recreation Committee for a term ending, would it be 6/30/2026?
Yes.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing or seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Counselors, Starr,
Yes.
Mendez,
Yes.
Atsalas,
Yes.
Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Schnapp.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Any further nominations or recommendations? Counselor Shaughnessy.
I'd like to move Jennifer Hinckley Needham to be a member of the Human Services Committee to a term expiring 6/30/2024.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Counselors, Starr,
Yes.
Mendez,
Yes.
Atsalas,
Yes.
Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Schnapp.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
And we have one more position that could have a recommendation for the Zoning Board of Appeals. Counselor Atsalas.
I would like to recommend Larry Hurwitz as an associate member for the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term ending 6/25.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Counselors, Starr,
Yes.
Mendez,
Yes.
Atsalas,
Yes.
Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Schnapp.
Yes,
It's unanimous.
great. Our next, did we get minutes, Cindy?
Yes, I did send them.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Counselor
So
Shaughnessy.
moved.
All right, we have a movement,
Second.
a second. Any discussion? Cindy, roll call vote.
Counselors Starr,
Yes.
Mendez,
Yes.
Atsalas,
Yes.
Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Schnapp.
Yes,
It's unanimous.
great. All right, so I'd like to schedule a meeting in July, a placeholder, depending on, what committees. And we've had some discussion about going back into person, but I'd like to get the sense of the committee if they want to keep the July meeting as a Zoom meeting, just because of who knows where people might be, but I welcome any comment at this time. Counselor Atsalas.
I would go back in person.
All right.
Live.
I'd go back in person too. I think it's what the public wants.
And Counselor Starr, you're
Yeah, I concur. I can meet in public. That would be good.
okay. And Counselor Mendez?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right. Is the 4 o'clock time still okay for everyone?
Are we going to be doing the first day of the month consistently, or are we?
Well,
floating-
usually we're the second Tuesday, so it would be,
So still staying second Tuesday then?
yeah, so we would be between the two meetings so that we could make sure that whatever our recommendations on gets on the second meeting of the month, town council agenda.
Speaking for myself, second Tuesday of the month at this time is fine.
Okay, all right.
I don't
So
know.
why don't
I
we
don't-
do a TBD of July 11th at 4 o'clock in person? We will see if there's a very light agenda, we may postpone until August, but but there might be some other items of business that we might want to discuss in our July meeting. Please forward to me anything that we might want to discuss. There might be some things related to our committees and protocols, so now that we've got the bulk of, our business with reappointments completed, we can kind of focus on some other activity, other actions that are appropriate for the appointments committee. All right. Well, we're going to come in under an hour. Unless there's any other business to attend to. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All right. Roll call to send us out of here.
Counselors Starr,
Yes.
Mendez,
Yes.
Atsalas,
Yes.
Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Schnapp.
Yes.
You are adjourned.